This is the WellSeeker Pro introduction video. We're going to cover the basics around WellSeeker Pro, so how to get set up as a new user and give you an introduction to where the software installs various components, how it accesses data and utilizes databases, and some of the very basics about adjusting personal settings and layouts within WellSeeker Pro. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to cover uninstallation and installation. So I've currently got WellSeeker Pro installed. We'll cover how to install it in a moment, but first I'm going to uninstall it. You can tell you've got WellSeeker Pro installed by the fact I've got this shortcut for WellSeeker Pro on my desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my control panel, uninstall a program, and go to WellSeeker Pro, uninstall. Okay, so if you're a user who is following this with a version of WellSeeker Pro already installed, you can carry out this process. It's really quick, simple, follow along in real time. If you haven't got it set up, wait just a second and we'll go over the installation of WellSeeker Pro very shortly. Okay, so I have now finished the installation. It's as simple as that. Select it in uninstall programs, complete the process, and now WellSeeker Pro is completely uninstalled from my computer. Okay, I'm going to close Control Panel, and now I have the WellSeeker Pro installer, and it will have the version number that that installer creates within your computer in the title, and it's a .exe file. So in order to install WellSeeker Pro, get this installer file. You can get this either directly from Innova Drilling and Intervention's website, or you might have been provided it via a link from one of our team after purchasing the software. Either way, you take an unzipped .exe file to your desktop, double left click, and that will open up your installer. You can either check this box to agree to license terms and conditions, or you can click this license terms and conditions section here to view them before then proceeding with the install. This is the default installation pathway. I never change this, so I'll leave it as default. I've read the terms and conditions, so I'm happy. I'm going to agree and install. Okay, so my computer's going through the installation process, which will be completed shortly. And it literally is as simple as that for uninstallation and installation. No real intricate nature about it. If you don't have certain prerequisite software installed on your computer, this installer will highlight those and give you the option to install those programs as well. So I've already got them installed, which is why I didn't ping up. Okay, so the installation process is now complete. I've now got a WellSeeker Pro shortcut on my desktop that will allow me to open up WellSeeker Pro. Regarding installing WellSeeker Pro, if you have any issues regarding the installation process, it's always eventually been resolved down to a Windows update issue or a Windows version issue. So if you do experience issues during the installation process, first thing, restart your computer. If you restart your computer and still can't install WellSeeker Pro correctly, check your Windows update. So in order to do that, you would go to your help bar and type in update. Okay, and this will bring up the check for update option within Windows 10. Okay, and you can see here that I am up to date, but you can still check for updates within Windows and it will run an automatic search for you. Effectively, make sure your Windows is up to date. And if it isn't, install all the relevant updates, restart your computer and make sure they're installed properly. Okay, so in this case I would download and install my updates. Once you've completed that process, you should be able to install WellSeeker correctly. If you still can't, it may be down to your Windows version. So there are some light versions of Windows available that don't include certain modules. So that could also be a potential. Something else to bear in mind regarding installing WellSeeker Pro is that the user has to have administrator rights to install the software, and that's because it needs to access folders within the C drive to do that. So if you don't have the correct IT permissions within your organization, then you'll potentially have to have your IT department do that for you. Okay, so now we've installed WellSeeker Pro, we'll see what it's actually installed. So I've got a couple of shortcuts here on my desktop, and those take me to folders that WellSeeker Pro is installed. The first thing we're going to do is look at the installation folder for WellSeeker Pro. So this is physically where the executable, the application file for WellSeeker exists. It's in your main hard drive, Programs 86, Innova Drilling and Intervention, WellSeeker Pro. And along with the executable, there are various other files that assist that executable in running WellSeeker Pro. So this is the installation folder. The main point to note here is this is where your license file that allows you access to WellSeeker Pro lives. So effectively, I don't have a license file in here at the moment, but when you do have a license file, this is where it will have to go in order for WellSeeker Pro to function correctly. Okay. Also within here, there is a manuals folder that comes with the install, and there's various how-to guides and training tips within here. We won't cover this in any detail, just to make you aware of where the actual executable and the license file live. The other location that is installed when WellSeeker Pro is installed is in your roaming folder. So this comes under your main hard drive, users, the main user, app data, roaming, and WellSeeker Pro. And this is where the default database location is, your setup file. So this is where any view and layout preferences for WellSeeker Pro get stored into this file, and various other folder settings. But again, important to note that this is where your default database is, and your user setup settings are stored within a file. Okay, so those are the two main folder structures that are installed when you install WellSeeker Pro. So we've already covered how to install WellSeeker Pro, and this installer obviously installs this version of WellSeeker Pro, this 2.04.0.0.2 version. There is also the ability to update a patch to WellSeeker Pro. So when a small update is released that doesn't warrant a whole new installer to be released, you may receive from us or request from us a patch. And I'll show you how to add that at this stage. So I'm just going to drag over a patch. Normally a patch will be sent in a zipped folder. So in order to unzip it, we go right click and extract all. Choose the extraction pathway. Once it's extracted, you can see we've got this wellseeker.exe file here. I'm just going to drag that onto my desktop and clear away the zipped file in the empty folder. Okay, so we've got our new executable. This is the latest version. So remember, I was saying our executable lives in the install folder for WellSeeker Pro, and this is our current executable, this version 2.04.0.0.2. We want to overwrite that with this latest version, this 2.04.0.0.4. So all I'm going to do is drag this patch executable into my install folder and overwrite the existing version. Okay, and now I've updated WellSeeker Pro to the latest version. It's as simple as that. An alternative way of updating a patch exe file is once you've got WellSeeker up and running, you can open WellSeeker by double left clicking on the shortcut icon, going to help and check for update. If you've got auto check update enabled, you'll receive a little message in the bottom right here if an update is available. If you want to manually carry out this process, you can hit check for update. Okay, my version is up to date, but if there is an update available, it'll tell you what's available and what version number it is. If there is an update available and you want to update to that version, go help about WellSeeker, and there'll be two options here. There'll be download, and download/install. If you select download, it will download the exe file, the patch, to your downloads folder on your PC for you to then carry out the manual process of putting that exe in the install folder to update. If you want to update automatically, you go to download/install. What that will do is it will download the exe to your downloads folder, close WellSeeker Pro, update the exe automatically, and then open up WellSeeker Pro. So in this instance, I'd make sure you save all your work before hitting download/install, because it will close and reopen up WellSeeker Pro again. Okay, so now we've covered how to install and update to a latest patch, and you're aware of the locations that things are located within your computer for WellSeeker Pro. We're going to go ahead and open up WellSeeker Pro for the first time. So double left click on your WellSeeker Pro shortcut. Previously I mentioned that I do not have a license file, and in the instance where you've got your first version of WellSeeker on your computer, it comes as standard with a 2-day free or trial license. Once that 2 days is expired, this is the dialog that you will be met with upon opening WellSeeker. This is to let you know that you currently no longer have a valid license, and you need a valid license in order to have the full functionality of the software. If you're part of a large company that are using the software, contact your ID department and they will be able to provide you with a license file and get you set up. If you're part of a smaller company who update their computers manually by a user-by-user basis, you can select Request License. Fill in your contact details with particular attention to your email address and select Submit. When you select Submit, the email address entered here will receive an automatic reply saying that your license request has been sent to Innova. Innova will then sort out the license request at their end, and you will receive an email response back with instructions of what to do next to get the license fully activated. Okay. Because I don't have a valid license, I'm going to now select OK, and it will close out the software. Some users in the past have experienced issues when they're opening WellSeeker Pro. It will open up to the splash screen, and then this screen here, and then this bit behind might open and then close immediately. Okay, that issue can be one of two things. One is that your Windows updates have not been installed correctly, and there is a file that is corrupted within your Windows operating system somewhere. So first thing I would suggest is restarting your computer, trying again. Much like with the installation process, check that you have all your Windows updates installed correctly, restart your computer and repeat the process. If this still doesn't work, then you can go and delete your setup file. So on occasion your setup file might have been corrupted. That is located within this C users main user app data roaming WellSeeker Pro folder. And this is the setup file where all of your user preferences are saved. If you select that file, delete it, and then open up WellSeeker Pro, then those two sequences, checking updates are installed correctly and deleting your setup file if it's potentially corrupted, will get you back to WellSeeker Pro opening correctly. Okay, I have a license file already created, and I'm going to show you how to add that to your install directory so that WellSeeker Pro will be usable. Okay, so I've got my license file here. I'm just going to paste it across. Okay, and the license file is literally just a text file. You will receive this via an email to your company, and then probably once from your company from whoever the focal point for your IT is. Okay, what you need to do with that license file to be able to utilize WellSeeker Pro is open up the install folder. Okay, that again is your main hard drive, Programs 86, Anova Drilling and Intervention, WellSeeker Pro, and then you pull in that license.txt file into the install directory. And you can see it's there. This is where the software by default will look for this file. Another thing to bear in mind regarding license files is in order to put the license file in your install directory, it may be required to have administrator rights on your system. So if you are a user within a large organization, you may require to get your IT department to do that for you if you don't have the correct user permissions. Another issue you might experience trying to pull your license file into the install folder for WellSeeker is that you might be trying to save it directly from your email. Within your email, you right-click and go Save As, and you try to save it to the C drive installation folder location. A lot of user permissions don't allow that. So ensure that you always save the license file and installer files and updates for that matter directly to your desktop, and then once they've been saved to your desktop, then move them to the correct corresponding location. Regarding issues that can occur when adding a license file. So again, the license file is located in your WellSeeker Pro install folder. If I remove my license file and open up WellSeeker Pro, I can see that I have the option to open the WellSeeker folder to check for my license file. There's also an option here, Select License File. If I select License File and point it to my license file on the desktop, okay, it appears to work. That's absolutely fine. And we can continue using WellSeeker Pro as long as that license file is located on the desktop. If I then go ahead and move that license file from the desktop back to the install directory and try and open up WellSeeker Pro, the software is going, hang on a minute, you don't have a license file. Well, I know I have a license file, and I know it's in the install directory, but why isn't it working? It's because the user has selected this Select License File option. And what that does is it tells the software to always look in the location that you told it your license file was. From that point onwards, it's always looking in your desktop to find your license file. So if you select File in a particular location and then move that license file or delete it, then you have to, if you get another license file, tell the software where to look again. So in this case, I'm just going to map it back to our install directory. And now that will work in the default WellSeeker license file location. So that's an issue we've seen in the past where people get confused or forget where they've told the software to look for a file using that option. Now when I go back to open up WellSeeker Pro again, I double left click on my shortcut. And now you can see that message window is not displayed. I now have full access to WellSeeker Pro. Okay, so at this point I would like the user to make sure they're caught up to this stage. So if you haven't installed WellSeeker Pro yet, just pause the video here, go ahead and install, make sure you have a valid license file in place, and then restart the video so we can press forward. Okay, so now the user, you, have got everything up and running to this stage. We're going to discuss about databases. So WellSeeker Pro is the software that accesses a database. And a database is literally just a pile of tables that contain data. So WellSeeker is actually looking at a database, a pile of tables, and pulling information from that. It's accessing that to then carry out various calculations. So it's the database is actually where your information is stored, and then WellSeeker Pro accesses it. So what we can see here at the bottom of our toolbar is that my current database I'm accessing is displayed here. It's in my C drive, users, username, app data, roaming, and WellSeeker. So equally, if I go to help and it is open database location, it will open up the folder where my currently accessed database file is. So when you first install WellSeeker Pro, the database you will be accessing by default is this database here, wellseeker database.mdb. The .mdb is the database file type. Just going to open this up to show you what a database is. As I said, it's just a sequence of tables. You will never need to access this. In fact, doing so could be quite dangerous. If you delete various data, it could corrupt your database. But just for viewing point of view, it is a number of tables of data. Okay, so within WellSeeker Pro, we support two types of database currently. We have a local.mdb database type, which can be located within your computer on a desktop in your documents folder, and you can, just like any other file type, you could copy and paste that onto hard drives. You can move it across to other computers and email it back and forth. So that is a local database, a .mdb file. We also support SQL server databases. So these are databases that can be hosted on a server and accessed by multiple users simultaneously. Okay, so the one we're going to concentrate on today is the local database. As I said, the default database is created and accessed within this folder location. If you are going to put any data into a database, you'd be strongly advised to not use this database and create a new database on first opening. The reason behind that is when you uninstall WellSeeker Pro, this folder location gets cleared out of any unused information. So effectively, this database will be deleted when you uninstall WellSeeker Pro. So what we would advise doing is going to File, Create New Database. Select the desktop in this case, but really you want it in a safe location, probably in your Documents folder. And call the database something relevant to what you're going to be using for. So in this case, I'm just going to call mine example, but you might want to call it by a customer name or your company name, something like that. Okay, once you've put in the name and the location, hit Save. WellSeeker will now create that physical .mdb file in the location you saved it to. Okay, if you look at the database I'm currently accessing, it is not the one I've just created. It's still looking at the one in the default folder. So I, after creating it, need to go to File and then Select Database. And click on the file I've just created, this example.mdb, and hit Open. Okay, now I've got a database that I've created. It's not stored in a location that will get deleted when I uninstall WellSeeker. So this is a good, safe database to be moving forward with. When selecting a place to locate your database, or any other files that WellSeeker accesses for that matter, make sure they're located physically on your computer when it comes to local databases. I mean, do not have them on a shared drive like OneDrive or SharePoint. Make sure there's a physical file on the hard drive of your computer. If you haven't done so already, get to the stage where you've created and selected a new database. Okay, now that you've created and selected a new database, have it in a safe location, next thing you should do is set the units for the information that you will be inputting into the database. So that can be accessed by going to Tools and Unit Sets. And within here we have some predefined unit sets that come with the installation of WellSeeker Pro. You can also create new unit sets from scratch and tailor them to a pre-designated drop-down list selection of units. I'm going to select US to carry on with and hit OK. So now everything within this database, when I look at it, will be in the US feet default unit set. In the background, the information is actually saved in API units and stored within the database tables as API units. So anything other than API is then converted to whatever unit set you have selected there. Okay, once I've selected my units, the user can also adjust the layout to suit their preferences. So, for example, I resize this so that I only have the toolbar width available. This is going to be our main window for viewing surveys, plans, charts, so I want to make this as big as possible. So I actually close out my properties, close out the output, and this can all be brought back. If I accidentally delete my database tree, I can right-click on the grey main interface here and select Well Seeker Database Tree, okay, to bring it back. Same with my output and properties windows, or I can get rid of toolbars and bring them back. Same can be accessed from View, Toolbars and Docking windows. Okay, so everything you see on first opening is accessed via the View, Toolbars and Docking windows, or right-clicking on the grey main area here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the Field toolbar, and that is the layout I'm going to use going forward. Now that I've selected my layout, if I close Well Seeker Pro and then open up Well Seeker Pro again, you'll see my layout is being saved. And where that my preferences for viewing and the layout are saved are in my setup folder. Okay, that's the roaming folder Well Seeker Pro, and in this setup file. Okay, and that's just can be opened up in Notepad, and it's literally just saves lots of information about your database location, all of your user preferences within Well Seeker Pro. Okay, so that is physically where your layout preferences are saved in that file on your computer. So if you have Well Seeker Pro on multiple computers that you want to use and have the same layout and default options for viewing plots and things like that, copy that setup file over to the other computer, and then you can go File, Import Setup File. Select the file, and that will bring in the same settings that are in the setup file. Okay, in terms of the toolbar layout, the ones at the top here, you can also import a toolbar layout as well. Okay, next thing to cover is we're going to look at the Help menu. So we go Help. If you select Help, it runs us through our Help file. This is where you can find out a lot of specifics about what individual terms mean within Well Seeker Pro. But it is rather large, and if you need a sort of detailed guide or a step-by-step process to run through things, there are better places to access the information. If you're new to Well Seeker Pro, you should go Help and open Documentation folder. Within here there's the Well Seeker Pro how-to guide, and this will just give you a very quick run through of the very basics of getting set up with the basic database structure, unit sets and other such things. Once you've mastered that, you can then go to Help and Online Documentation and Online Training Videos. And this will take you to Innova's online documentation and training materials page. If you look on the structure here, we've got generic documentation, quick start guides, manuals, release notes, video guides, so how-to videos, these are short clips, and Innova online training, this is more in-depth, longer videos with training material, and then tech notes. Okay, so that is the structure of our online training material. Also in the Help menu, we've got various different other dialogues that can be opened. A license information dialog, if you select that, opens our license information. We can open up our database location folder, our setup file folder, the install directory. This is defunct now, it's more of a legacy option. We can go to the Innova website and check the download page for the current version number and see if there are any updates. The other things I'd like to point your attention to in the Help menu are the debugging and screen capture functions. So if you do experience any issues that you think might be a bug within Well Seeker Pro, the best thing to do is provide information, detailed information on the issue to the Innova support email account. So within the software, we've got things that will help with that. We've got this create debugging file option. That will create a zipped folder, and that will contain a copy of your current database that you're using, as well as your setup file and some of your system information. That will help us narrow down and be able to replicate your exact issue with your same setup. Okay, so you can create this zipped file and then attach it to an email and send it to the Innova support account. Or you can hit the send debugging email. So again, if you've got Outlook as your default email browser, you can hit that button and it will generate an email already selected to the support account to send the debugging file to. Something you can also send us is a screen capture. So this is effectively a video recorder of your screen whilst using WellSeeker Pro. If I hit start screen capture, it tells me I've started my screen capture. I go about clicking some things, it will record my screen, and when I'm done I click stop screen capture. Okay, that creates an MP4 file in a subfolder, and I will go open screen capture file location. Within here you can see the MP4 file that has recorded all of my screen actions. And again, you can paste this into an email to send to the Innova support account. With the information of the steps you took and your database and your setup file all provided, that gives the support team the best possibility of replicating any bugs that you might have and therefore fixing them quickly. Okay, now that we've been through the introduction training, now we have some questions and answers to go through. So first question, where should a local database file not be located when it's being accessed by WellSeeker Pro? Okay, and the answer is, should not be located in the C user's username app data roaming WellSeeker Pro folder. Okay, as this will be deleted when WellSeeker Pro is uninstalled. So you'll potentially lose your database if you've got information stored in it. Also, they should not be stored on a cloud folder like OneDrive or SharePoint, because this is not supported by WellSeeker Pro. Okay, next question. How should I report a software issue to Anova? If you don't know the answer, pause now, have a think, and restart when you're ready. Okay, any software issues should be sent via email with a debugging file attached, a screen capture attached, and a detailed description of the issue sent to support@innova-drilling.com. Next question. Where are my layout and setting preferences saved? Pause if you don't know the answer. They are saved in the setup file, which is located in C user's username app data roaming WellSeeker Pro. Okay, next question. Where is my well data saved? Pause if you don't know the answer. All well data is saved within an Innova database file. So in the case of what we've run through here, it would be saved in one of those local .mdb database files. And the final question, where should my license file be located? Have a think, pause if you don't know the answer. Okay, the license file should be located in the install folder, which is C Programs 86, Anova Drilling and Intervention, WellSeeker Pro. It should be located in there for the software to find it. Okay, that completes the questions and answers. We now move on to your exercise. Okay, so what I would like you to do is run through the below processes. Uninstall WellSeeker Pro. Once uninstalled, uninstall WellSeeker Pro. Once you have WellSeeker Pro installed, create and select a new database. Once you've got that database selected and open, change the unit set to a desired unit set. Then adjust the layout to your layout preferences. Then locate your install folder where the license file would be input. then I want you to locate and open up the setup file location. Once you've done that, open the WellSeeker help file, just look for some information. Following on from that, open the documentation folder and view one of our how-to guides. And the final thing is use the screen capture tool and view the video that you created using that screen capture tool. Okay, if at any point you become stuck with any of the points, refer back to the video for a refresher. Okay, that completes the exercise section. That is the end of the very basic introduction to WellSeeker Pro.